So, welcome to Daily Practice with Nikhil. Today, we are actually not hunting for answers. Actually, there's one question which is up there, which is where is your wise self? We'll get to that answer later. But today, we are actually exploring some questions, and there's going to be some thoughts which may pop up. So, I invite you to bring a pen and paper or write your comments whenever you feel like it in the comment section, just to keep these questions alive. We will walk through some questions, we'll walk through some scenarios, and at the end, we will learn where our wise self is. And we'll pull back the curtain on something really vast, which is new and interesting for all of us. So, this is just something we can walk with. So, this is new. Let us begin. And the first act is presence and permission. So, we begin in the middle, not the start. So, asking yourself, first question, where can I pause instead of react? What's the earliest signal you notice before you snap? Notice before you actually get triggered? And can you name one breath buffer you'll use today? If this moment were slow, what choice would you make? Where does reactivity live? In your body? In your mind? Where does the future you live? And what is the future you thanking you for not saying? So the question is, where can I pause instead of react? Where can I gently be without needing to give an answer? And also, when you do this, when you pause, what new options appear? So let this question sink in a little bit. Next question is one which is close to mindfulness. Am I present right here? Am I present right here, right now? This is a question we have asked and trained ourselves for a long time, so this should be easier than some other questions we may have. But what does here feel like? What is here? What is here? What does here feel like in your hands, in your jaw, in your eyes? What does here feel like in your body, in your mind? You may listen to a sound. What is behind that sound? And if you captured this moment as a photograph, what would it capture? Who are you when you're not leaning into the next moment? What's one sensation you can let be without fixing it? And these are questions we often practice with. Next question, what truly matters most today beyond busyness or doingness? What is most important? If you did one thing with heart, what would it be? What will still matter in 3 months or few months later? Is important actually alive or just loud? What matters more? Does the task matter more, or the tone, or both? What would your elder self circle on today's calendar? What is important for your future self? Just asking this question actually orients yourself into the future. What is the bare minimum that makes today meaningful for you? And this is the question which can help you engage beyond your busyness. What matters to you today? And the next question I want you to think about. These are just thoughts right now. So if you are finding it difficult to understand what story you are telling yourself, and even more challenging is this true? What story are you telling yourself? What's the genre? Tragedy, thriller, comedy? Who wrote the script? Your family, culture, friends? And what happens if you flip the protagonist's motivation? Where does the story live in your body? We zig, then we zag. And if you cut one recurring scene out, what changes? What would a kinder narrative be like? What's the evidence for and against for the story? What is the story? So play with this question. What would I attempt if I wasn't afraid of failing? Name the smallest risky step that still excites you. If failure were rehearsal, what would you rehearse? Who taught you that failure equals shame? What does playful failure look like? Child on a bike vibe. But if you failed and still got up, is that failure or is that growth? And you can ask yourself, how can I bring more play into my day? What's a 5-minute pocket of joy you can carry around and you can sneak in throughout the day? Which task can you turn into a game? Where are you 90% serious and 10% silly? What would literally make your body grin? And who's your co conspirator in this harmless mischief? What's your barefoot on grass equivalent today? And the next question, who needs my compassion today? Including me. Who needs it? Whose name arises uninvited right now, without judgment? Let that name rise. What boundary could be compassionate for you? Can you offer one sentence of kindness internally? What does compassion look like in your behavior? Not as a concept, but what does it look like? We may have different ideas of this. How do you know when compassion becomes rescue? What is one generous interpretation you can try? So many wonderful options. Am I nourishing my body or just feeding it? Do you eat, nourish with a sense of joy? Do you feel more awake or foggier after having a meal? What does comfortable hunger feel like? Which food leaves you feeling respected? Now that question. Which food leaves you feeling respected? What non food nourishment do you need right now? Sunlight, water, rest, movement. What's one upgrade you'll make in your next meal? And how would your future you feed you today? And what tiny action could you make right now to make today meaningful? What is a 2 minute act with a 2 hour ripple effect? What can you do right now? Think about things. Which stuck drawer, literal or emotional, can you open today? Who could you send a comforting 30-second voice note? What's one micro repair, an apology, thanks, accomplishment you can share? What can you finish that's been nibbling at your energy? So many things in your mind. What is the first 1 inch of that mountain? What am I resisting and what might happen if I let it go? What does resistance live in your body? What would no longer be like for you? What is no longer pushing, feeling like? So, what does it mean? What is no longer pushing? You're no longer suffering. Feel like. If letting go isn't giving up or opening up, what opens? What are you afraid about? What are you afraid of? When you stop resisting, what changes? And what's the safest experiment you can do in softening? So you're softening your mind. What's the safest experiment you can do? And what value is your resistance trying to protect? What is it trying to protect? Am I aligning with growth or aligning to comfort? What feels stretchy good versus stretchy injury? What are your under challenged narratives? What's one gentle edge you can visit today? And if growth had a posture, how would you sit, stand, or lie down? What's one comfort ritual you'll keep and one you may wish to renegotiate? How will you recover from growth? Many ways: sleep, reflection, celebration. How can I serve rather than just succeed? Who benefits if you win? And who benefits if you serve? What's one useful thing you can give with no scoreboard? How do you serve your future self today? What is your natural resource that is abundant to share? Humor, patience, clarity, etc. Where could you listen longer before solving? What kind of success does service create? And what perspective would my wisest self take on this moment right now? What would the 10-year-old self say? How would wisdom breathe right now? Which assumption are you asking your wisest self to loosen? What's the kindest true sentence about it? What is the kindest true sentence about your wisest self? And what is funny about this later? What is funny about all these things which we are doing right now? What would wisdom decline to engage with? What are you willing to not hold in your power? Where am I being small when life asks me to be bigger? Where are you hiding competence behind humility? What invitation have you been pretending not to see? What does bigger mean without ego? What boundary would a bigger you set? What's one public declaration you could make? What support would you need to grow safely? And what do I need to forgive? In others or in myself? Which story are you keeping alive by retelling it? And is the weight of holding on heavier, hurt? What would freedom look like if forgiveness wasn't approval? What repair is yours to make? And how will you know the wound is healing? What changes? And what ritual could mark? I am done carrying this forever. Am I acting from love or from fear? What does love feel somatically in the body versus fear? What would brave kindness do here if you could be judged? What you shouldn't do? Which action would you be proud of to have copied by a child? What actions? What's the smallest loving move available? What is that? What is that thing? Where is fear actually? Where is fear actually? Or is it a part of your care? Am I listening deeply to others and to myself? Can you reflect on these exact words before advising? What is your body's quiet no and quiet yes today? Where do you often interrupt, outside or inside? What would listening longer reveal? What are you hoping not to hear? What would listening to your limits look like? What is the one thing I can appreciate in this exact moment? Name a mundane blessing: light, chair, breath. Appreciate a person without telling a story about them. Appreciate a quality in yourself which you usually sideline. Find one sound that feels friendly. Appreciate a limit that protects you. Appreciate the chance to start again and again and again right now. And if today were my last, what would I want to feel? Could you sample that feeling now? What habits block that feeling? Who would you reach out to? What would you forgive to feel it? What would you stop postponing? What would make today feel completely enough? What is the simplest way I can be fully alive right now? One deeper breath, one full body stretch, one truthful sentence, one step outside, one thank you, one moment of looking until you really see. So, we've been practicing these questions. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing that really deep, introspective questions. I know it may have been little different than normal, but I wanted to get these questions out there because these questions will resonate with you. And we are here to answer this main question is, where is your future self? We've been practicing a way of seeing, we've been practicing a way of attention, choice, connection, possibility. Now it's time to zoom out. Now it's time to have fun. So, there is this concept which we want to discuss today. The physics tells us, science tells us that beneath the everyday world is a foundation called the quantum field. Now, here's the sober but wondrous version. No hype, no hand waving. In this realm of possibility, the quantum field, which gets talked about a lot, and I think we need to pay attention to what is being said. In this field, what it says is like the fields come first. Now, field is a concept in maths and science which is used to explain reality. And in this idea of quantum field, fields come first, particles come second. Fields are the fundamentals. Every particle, like electron, photon, is a tiny ripple. They're not particles as such, they are just waves of energy. And when energy just comes to one point, we call it a particle. Or when we observe this energy in one area, we call that particle. And this matters because it means that empty background isn't empty. It's a possibility rich medium. And in our discussions, why is this important? Because we can notice that everything is a field. Everything is energy. And in this wondrous world of quantum field theory, there's an idea of superposition. And I think it's important to acknowledge it. Sounds weird, but it's understanding that many possibilities can occur at once. So a system or something in a quantum state is always in a superposition, multiple potential states simultaneously, until an interaction or observation makes it real. And the key nuance which we often forget, it's not that your mind magically flips reality, it's that interaction, measurement with any environment forces specificity. By that, what I mean is, when we practice positivity, we start to bring specific areas of positivity into ourselves. The way we attend determines which aspects of our day become real for us. Attention channels behavior and learning. And another concept within this quantum field, and why is it important for us, is called entanglement. And this is also wonderfully weird principle that's filled with beauty. Nature is filled with beauty, and two particles can be entangled, and these are subatomic, so like these are small particles. But for this purpose, let's imagine they're two big that people. Their properties are linked so strongly that measuring one instantly determines the property of the other, no matter the distance. Usually, we think of distance in terms of like how fast things can move and uh, how fast light can move, for example. But an instant knowledge transfer, these two particles can be separated by millions and millions of miles, and it will be instantly reflected. And entanglement is interesting, because when we look at it, then what you're saying is all particles ripple through this network. We create fluctuations in the area around us. So all thoughts have a consequence. And that is the kind of idea which it tries to bring in. And then we always hear about this observer effect. An observer effect is, if you've heard of this experiment called the Schrodinger's cat, I know that's a big one. It's basically a cat is in a box, and until the box is open, we don't know whether the cat is sleeping or awake. So until we open the box, the cat is both sleeping and awake. And only when you observe it will we know. And this is true with a lot of quantum states, but actually it is more true with our realities. We have these concepts of reality. Consciousness isn't required for quantum events. So when we think about things, and when you attend and act upon things, intuitively we know something has changed, but what is changing is actually we are actually collapsing all the possibilities into just one. So right now, if you look at it, if you close your eyes, infinite possibilities are in the quantum field around you and part of you. Everything is part of you. And there is no separateness. There is only different forms of energy. So when you collapse, that means you are attending to what is happening. And this idea, again, these are ideas. This idea of observer effect, or like something you observe, you manipulate, you change, helps us create great narratives about ourselves. So if we observe the fact that we are kind and good natured, we start to create a reality which supports that. And then we have this world of fields and possibilities that become specific through interaction. So things are deeply connected is kind of one of the key takeaways. And also you are also creating and living your own reality. So the question which we asked this session up front was, where is your future self? And the future self is in the quantum field, or in that consciousness, in that vibrational energy just within grasp. So there is this idea, and it's debated, and quantum consciousness and things like that is theories. These are ideas. These are general ways of representing our human behavior, and also learning about new forms or new ways in which we can understand the universe around us. So that's the essence of all this. But I hope this gives you a little bit of an understanding that there are so many things we can change. We don't need someone else to change it for or by. We are the creators of our own reality. And that's the essence I want you to take away from all that we've done today. We've talked about a lot of questions we can ask about our introspective, and a lot of questions. We talked about a little bit about quantum field theory and how it may have an impact on your day to day life. But we also talk about how we take responsibility, how we take courage, how we take that brave step in noticing, in observing things which align with our future self. And that is what we have been discussing today. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for persevering with this chat. Hope it was useful, and hope it gives you some inclination, some questions which linger, some questions which vanish, some thoughts which may have opened your eyes. Whatever it may be, take it to the next step, introspect, reflect, and grow. So, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And if you have any thoughts, comments, please do share it. I would love to hear your thoughts and understanding how I can be more of help for all of you in the journeys you are going through. So, until you find your future self, I am here to guide you. Until then, see you soon. And yeah, daily practice. Thank you. Practice makes progress and much more. And I will see you again tomorrow with another episode, another way of thinking. Thank you. Take it easy.